Nice Micro Monday. Why arguing over the internet is useless. So even the ancient Greeks knew that arguing with strangers on the internet is a waste of time, but, well, in modern times, even the best of us fall into that trap of getting into an argument on social media or on a forum or wherever. So, because some things are just close to our hearts and want to talk about it. And, people rationalize going into these arguments. So I have a very smart friend who just comments on other people's social media posts and tries to correct factual errors and things like that. And when I asked him, why do you waste your time doing that? He said, if I'm not doing it, no one's gonna do it. And if someone's posting something that's not true, I would like to have the truth next to it as a comment at least. So if I'm not doing it, no one else is going to be. And that how people will know that those things are false there. And, we can kind of sympathize with this attitude, I guess, because when we are thinking about why we as humans go into arguments, we have this kind of very rational, conscious reasons for that. And because, we think that communication in itself, the main purpose of communication is giving information. So you need to know something from me, and I can use our verbal communication to give you the information. So this is how the tutorials I put out sometimes on this channel work. That, I have some information you might want to know, and I communicate the information for you. And so consciously we have this kind of reasons for getting into an argument or into a debate too. So a lot of people think that I have to get into this debate because those people have the facts, didn't get the facts right, or have the wrong opinion, so I need to correct them, so I have to present them the real truth. Of course, there are people who have a little more more self-awareness, I would say, a little more self-aware people would think that, okay, I'm going into the argument because I know that I myself might be wrong, and if I am wrong, I want to present my thoughts and what led me to think this way, and I would like to know from the other person whether my thinking is correct or not, so maybe they can, fix my faulty reasoning or just correct me on the facts that I got wrong. But the thing is that if that would be our real goal, then we are doing arguments very, very wrong. Our strategies are really bad for arguments. So I would think that even though we have these kind of conscious goals that we think are the reasons why we get into this argument, I think the unconscious factor is much, much stronger. And I would like to give you an example of that, how this happens. So I will change a few things around in this story, but basically the main line of events, the main chain of events was that I watched a video that was about an accident. So let's say it was about a traffic accident where a lot of people died and a lot of people injured in a big car crash. And I would post under this video that, oh, look, this accident killed more people than the air traffic industry kills in 1 year. So we have I just make this very snarky comment with the implicit reasoning that, oh, look at the road traffic, it is much more dangerous than air traffic, so we should consider, this big difference when we choose whether to take the car to go somewhere or whether to fly somewhere when, there is these two options. And, the thing is that I actually get a fact wrong. So maybe I misunderstand the people who got injured in the accident, and I think this is the number of the people who died in the accident. And I have this big factual misunderstanding here. So actually this accident did not nearly kill as many people as the whole year of the aviation industry or the commercial flights would kill. Maybe I'm totally wrong on that, but there is some other commenter who jumps in and just attacks the air traffic. So they would say like, oh, but in a car accident, usually the people who die and get injured are the people who are participants in the traffic. So they decided to get in their cars and accepted the risk of getting into the traffic. But if an airplane, something goes wrong, the airplane might, just fly into a building or like an area where there are people, like in the famous Concorde accident, and a lot of unsuspecting people might get injured, which is, it has not really have to do anything with my argument. So if our goal in this argument would actually be just to, correct other people's misconceptions, or we are putting out these kind of posts because we want other people to correct us, well, it just failed because the person who read my post and wrote lengthy response that will probably discourage everyone else to respond to me, they just totally did not realize what my factual error is. What they did is they kind of went in on a tangent, and this is kind of what I have it on screen here. This is not an argument. This is just something interesting I found, which is very similar to my experience. So I wanted to show. So John Carmack, you should know him. He is like a very esteemed programmer from, I think, maybe 80s, 90s. So he was one of the founder of the id software. They revolutionized computer games, basically. And he made a comment that like old programmers have kind of a very, very close relationship, kind of an instinctual relationship with the powers of 2, like, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and etc. While younger programmers don't really have this kind of mindset, but his kids, for some reason, realized that 16 and 32 are neat numbers, and he was happy about that. And so some other guy replied how this happened to him, that someone made like a thought experiment, like how many generations would it take for the human race to consist of only one person if everyone only had one kid. So every couple had only one child. How many generations would we need to the human race to just become one person? And of course, because every generation the number of people would halve, this is also a problem that you can easily solve if you have a great familiarity with the powers of 2. So you know that 2 to the power of 10 is around 1,000, so it's 1,024 if I'm not mistaken. And you know that we have about like 1 billion people on Earth, and 1 billion is like 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000. So that's 2 to the 10 times 2 to the 10 times 2 to the 10. It's about 2 to the 30. And we don't have exactly 1 billion people. We don't have 2 billion. We don't have 4 billion. We have about 8 billion people. So that's another, 3 up to the exponent. So it would be 33 generations for the human race to be reduced to 1. And then someone else, a random person, what's the name? What's some weird name like Elon Musk or what? So that guy just jumps in with like a very tangentially related comment, like replacement rate is 2.1, so roughly 31 generations. So what does the replacement rate have to do with this thought experiment that was done here to illustrate something with the powers of 2 from the original post? Nothing. But yeah, it wouldn't be actually 33 generations. It actually would be 31 because what is going on here? So this kind of communication is not to be productive, not to give information out. So obviously John Carmack's post was not about communicating some information out there. The statement was just show that what kind of generational divide he observed, and kind of, like I am the old smart programmer who knows the powers of 2, but those young programmers, they are like something else. So, maybe not superiority complex. We don't know what's in his subconscious mind, of course, but we can kind of assume something like that. And then the other person wants to show, oh, yeah, I'm also smart because I also know powers of 2, and I managed to solve this thought experiment very fast using my knowledge of the power of 2, and then the third guy jumps in and like, look at me, I'm also smart. So this is kind of how I read between the lines when I saw this, and this is a lot of the dynamics, what's going on in a lot of internet arguments. So in the end, it seems like even if our conscious brains or our conscious thoughts try to make us believe that we got into this argument to prove the virtue of the argument itself, so we want to show how our thought process is valuable and how the information we know is correct. So in my example, I wanted to make a statement about the safety of the air traffic compared to the dangers of road traffic, and so how the reaction, what I actually communicated is that, look at me, I am a guy who prefers the safety of air traffic compared to the unsafeness of the road traffic. It did not become about what actually the facts and the logic behind this argument, and this is what the reaction comes to, because the reaction is not like, oh, I found a fault in your logic, or I found the fault in your facts, some of the facts you got wrong, so your argument just become invalid based on those facts, or at least, the scale of your argument, you got the scale totally wrong here. No, the other person came in to show, no, I am the guy who is actually skeptical of air traffic, and I am the car guy. And so instead of having real arguments based on merits, on the internet we just get into these signaling contests, I guess, with random people. And why I'm talking about this here is just because I think it's very interesting, because how we behave is actually probably a better indicator of what our actual goals is compared to what we actually think about ourselves. So, our consciousness is not our full self, and your consciousness can very much rationalize a lot of things that you do for some subconscious reason, I guess. So we have to be cognizant of that, and maybe if we understand that what we do when we get into an argument on the internet with random people, then we are just actually signaling things to people that don't really matter to us on the long term. Because, if it's not on the internet, if it's in a group of friends, signaling this kind of things, it's important for the dynamic of the group, but it's total waste of the time of your life if you are on the internet. And I guess nice Micro Monday, and this is why arguing over the internet is a total waste of time. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of content where we discuss more wide range of topics in a more casual manner. And if you like this, you can subscribe, like this video, leave me a comment down there to signal something about yourself. And of course, to feed the algorithm. And if your comment is wise enough, I will put down a response there to signal something about me there. Okay, see you next time. Bye bye.